Guys, just trying to get this done here. I want to fly through this as a video for beginners, okay? I'm just off the phone to one of the girls as well, who is kind of struggling with getting all the meals in and stuff like that. So we're going to try and give a much more simpler way of making sure that you hit your food. So make sure you watch all of this video. You're going to learn a lot from it, and as I said, I'm going to try to keep it so simple that you will learn as much as possible from it. Right now, if you're a beginner, if you're starting off, or if you're just weight loss plan, I want you to concentrate on one thing, okay? So beginners are to concentrate on nothing but calories, okay? So I am going to let you start using MyFitnessPal, okay? So the app, as I said, is called MyFitnessPal, and if you download that, you will be able to start tracking your food, okay? The diets you're going to be getting up this weekend, so I'll be sticking them up tomorrow, and they're going to be all carb counted and macro counted for you now. So what's the first thing you need to know? Macro, like you hear the word macros and stuff like that, and some of you probably are not even too sure what that means. Okay, macros are basically a breakdown of protein, fats and carbs, okay? And basically, before we know how to work out and mix around any food, every gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, and 1 gram of carbs is also 4 calories. Okay, so I'm making up your food based on percentages, and I've given you a diet based on these percentages. So a general rule of thumb for people to do is we want to try and hit our body weight in protein first of all. If we could, it'd be great. Let's say we weigh, let's just say we're a female right now, we weigh 160 pounds, because I weigh you in pounds, that's why it's always much easier. Well, I want you to eat 160 grams of protein in the day, if possible. That's based on the weight. Fats, generally around 0.4 of your weight, maybe a bit, sometimes it depends on the person, it could be half, so it could be 80, which means 80 grams, but generally I kind of cut it back a little, okay? So we're calling it, say, 60 grams of fat every day, and then our carbs is generally kind of the breakdown of what happens around that. So obviously there's only one figure left, and that's to do it. So if you're using MyFitnessPal and if you're measuring food, well, I want you to just try and just go. If you want to use the diet, enter in meal 1. You have the macros there anyways, but enter it in and let it pop up on FitnessPal, and you'll see it's saying, you know, 350 calories for your breakfast or something like that, and that's fine. And you go along and your food is prepped and you eat meal 2, and that's fine. But then what happens then if your day turns to a mess? So the girl I was talking to, working in the hospital, and all of a sudden just things fall asunder and you don't get time to have your lunch. So you now have the figures there, okay? So if you look at your calories, and it comes down to simple maths. So you're after eating meal 1 and meal 2, and you've entered them into FitnessPal. If you haven't entered them into FitnessPal, it's fine. So let's go if you haven't entered them in, okay? Well, you have the figure at the end of your thing. So let's say the two of them added up to be 600 calories, and you ate those in 2 meals. Well, a weight loss plan there generally is around 15 to 1600 calories. Anywhere in there, you're not going to go wrong. So that means you have 1000 calories left to eat. So then you're saying, but am I expected to sit down and eat 1000 calories when I come home at night? Like, if it's a thing where that happens every evening, well, you're just not organised, or you need to just maybe just get it a bit better, because we don't want to be only eating 600 throughout our day and then we're waiting on our 1000 that night. I'd rather see you, you know, having anything, I mean anything, for the minute, until we can get into a habit of eating 1600 calories every day. So say we've just say we've done all that, and we've eaten our 1600, or we've eaten our full day's food, but obviously if we train at 6 o'clock that night, well, obviously we might have only eaten maybe 1200 of that 1600. So we're going to go train now. So we're trying to burn calories when we train to bring us even further into a calorie deficit. So real quick, a calorie deficit is how you lose weight. If your body, now I'm not even going to go into calculators, guys, they're ridiculous. I think they're actually they're madness, okay? There's such a formula to them that they just get so hard. Sorry, that's getting blurred on you. They get so hard to work it out and you get so confused. Food is not that complicated. We've eaten 1000 calories, we go training, okay? Our body's eating 1000. We go training at 6 o'clock, 7 or 8, it doesn't matter. and we burn as much as calories as possible. Let's just call it that we've done half a class, okay? In case you're tight for time, this is now. I would rather see you come in, do a half a class, and being honest, you'd be lucky if you burnt, let's say between 150 to 200 calories, okay, in a half a class. And I mean, that's being very generous. I believe people don't even burn 300 in a class. This thing of burning 600 and 700 in a class, I really don't think happens. Unless you're experienced and you are absolutely dogging yourself and training really hard. But if you're only starting out, your intensity is you're not as aggressive, you're not as comfortable to weights, you're a bit cautious, so you're holding back all the time. Half a class, remember, we go upstairs, we jump on our stepper for 30 minutes. Now, in 30 minutes, we can fairly be accurate and say that our aim is to burn under 250. If we're really pushing it out, we'll burn 300 calories in that time. Okay, now all of a sudden we've burnt around 500 calories. So technically, we're operating off 500 calories. We go home and we go back and our meal in the evening is 450, bang, 950 calories. We basically, our bodies are running off. Now, we could go into it in so much detail. The only reason it's so important to have the meal after your training is for recovery, is for long-term use and long-term training. If you train for 12 weeks straight or 5 weeks straight, you cut your meal after every single session, there's only one thing going to happen. You're going to get injured. And as I said, if there's something else going to happen, it's more than likely you're going to get burnt out. Okay? So that's why we've got to be so careful about, when people are saying, should we, what happens if I didn't eat 2 of my meals? Am I expected to sit down and do it? For one day, it's okay, but I really don't want to see you having to do that every day. So, now, another example. Let's say you're somebody who's not great at eating in the mornings, okay? You get up, you really can't face into eating a breakfast, you let your day go on, and then you start your eating at 11 o'clock. Technically, that's called intermittent fasting, but the problem is, intermittent fasting is generally where you finish eating at like 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay, so you're creating this big massive, so say if it was 6 o'clock here, and we started our first meal, if we were to do it, we started our first meal at 11. Well, we still have to consume 1700, whether it's 1600, whatever it is, we still have to consume that inside this time, okay? So it's not about timing anymore, okay? We're trying to get all our calories in that one time, and as science says, we are doing all our fat burning through here, when we're asleep, and then this big long fast. So you will guaranteed you will wake up with a smaller waist. Are we even near that level yet? I don't think so. So what do we got to do? We got to go and make sure that we don't make the simple mistake of not eating when we get up. So when we get up, I would really like to see you having a high protein, high fat breakfast, okay? I've given you carbs in your breakfast for one reason only, that they are going to be coming back out. I'm definitely going to be taking them out, okay? So let's say you get up at 7 o'clock, 7 a.m. and you don't train, okay? You get ready for work. If you can't eat, I'd really like to see you just drinking a protein shake. So a protein shake with ideally some of the pasteurized egg whites, and I know it sounds rotten, but when you blend it up it'll be fine, and some peanut butter. So high protein, high fat. At this time, high fat, high protein. We skip on, okay? We're not going to be working out till this time here. So basically, I want to try and consume, and I don't want to leave myself with a big bunch of calories to eat after workout either. And it's late at night, so I'm ideally trying to get my first meal into me straight away. It might, even if there's a long gap, sometimes for beginners or anybody who hasn't been dieting properly in a while, it will kill you. It'll slow down your results big time, because you won't be able to, your body's not going to know it's under any change. The reason I'm giving you, I'd rather see you eating 5 meals and only a tenth of the meal, but you're actually eating 5 times throughout the day, and just for one reason only, is to get your body back moving again and let it know, okay, we're not starving ourselves anymore. You know, we're not doing the typical thing everyone does, no breakfast, tea and coffee at 11 o'clock, maybe a scone or something like this, or a sandwich, a bowl of soup, and then this big massive gap right through, and then that night we turn around and we go and eat a big dinner. And then we wonder why all this dinner is sitting in our stomach. Well, it's sitting in our stomach and it's also storing as fat, because your body thinks, well, I'm being starved, so every time I get food I'm going to hold on to it. But then all of a sudden we're eating it every 2 to 3, 4 hours, And the body starts to get used to that, and then all of a sudden you hear people saying, I'm actually hungry, I can't believe it, like I'm eating all the food and I'm hungry. That's the best news ever, guys, because that means your metabolism is now working. Okay, so we're just going to recap on this. All I want you to do is hit your calories. As of this weekend, try hit your food. Ideally you have a diet, pick one meal per option, just stick to it till you get yourself into a routine. Cardio, I didn't touch on this yet. I'm going to give you a very simple tip. It's 2 weeks now, 14 days. In 14 days, how many cardio sessions did you do? Okay, how many classes did you do in 14 days? And how many times did you go for a walk or any form of exercise? In my head, in 14 days, you just missed an opportunity to do 28 sessions. Sounds crazy, it's not. You can train in the morning, you can train in the evening. If you don't have time, you can train in the morning in the gym, you can do your own thing in the evening. Okay, there's absolutely no rules, there's nothing to stop it. There is no way that people's lives do not have time. If you're telling me you don't have time, then you're just not managing it right. And if you want to manage it right, like I done a thing on my Snapchat as regards to money, you do a very simple little time management thing. Everybody has the same amount of hours. Work out exactly from the minute you leave your house to the minute you walk back in. Commute, the whole lot included. So total hours, okay, I want you to do this. Total hours minus working hours. So everything involved between commuting, whatever it is, you subtract that from that. You subtract how much hours you may spend with the kids. It could take you an hour to put them to sleep if you have kids. So let's call it kids. You subtract that time. Then all of a sudden you go and what else do we do? Whatever you think is taking up your time, throw it in there. Okay, everybody's different. And at the end, I can guarantee you'll end up with a time that's well over 40 hours. Okay. That is enough time to train, guys. That is enough time to do a 20-minute session at home. If you're a weight loss client, if you are somebody who's trying to build muscle, well, realistically, we've got to be getting weights in. Realistically, we've got to be hitting 4 to 5 weight sessions a week. Otherwise, we can't tone up. And that's the way we've got to go. But generally, weight loss, let's track calories. Let's track MyFitnessPal. Download it. Enter in the basic details. If you want, you will see your total calories on your diet. You can set your calorie goals to 1600, 1700, 2000, whatever I've given you, and let's just hit our calories first so we get the ball rolling and make sure that we're in a routine.